Okay, we are live and I like have to burp for some reason. Okay.
You
I
couldn't
guess
do that
what
before we went live.
I couldn't. It literally just came up. Um, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit our little countdown and then I'm gonna burp really quick and then
Okay,
come
sounds good.
back.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I live in dead, I'll die indebted to your hope. Born again, I swear I wouldn't breathe a word. If you can find me, take me back and make me whole. We're a circus, ruin my body with your corpse. So can you help me out?
The burp did not happen. So it's
Oh
gonna come
gosh.
up during the stream here. I got burp nervous, okay? It was burp fright. Like I knew I had 30 seconds to burp and I was trying to force it and it didn't come out.
30 seconds
So
should be enough to burp, KL.
I know it was burp fright.
Oh,
Okay.
you know what? It's funny. Okay, off tangent, but on TikTok last night, I saw this woman, mother. She's a new mom, and she learned from like someone that if you hold the infant up, like on your body here, and then you wiggle his tush or her tush, it'll immediately start. The baby will start to burp, like it just like loosens up the stomach. So maybe somebody can go and wiggle your tush so you can burp.
Oh my goodness. I wish I'd known that fact because I used to have to like it like
Yeah,
that took
some people.
forever. Like I would
People have a
pat and it would
yeah, and they call it. She called it the wiggle tush. Then another person's called it the hula because you're like wiggling
oh,
the tush. It's so cute, but yeah,
oh.
apparently I was reading the comments and it's very effective, KL. In case you need to burp next time, just wiggle your
Oh
tush.
god. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do for the rest of the stream is trying to wiggle that burp out.
Yeah,
Um,
right.
okay, so welcome to another installment of CrafteaMess, where we craft and we talk about the things and the stuff. And today I am putting together Grudy's vanity, which I was going to build. I was going to do like a wall mount thing, and
Oh,
then I decided no, because this like went on sale on Amazon. I was like, I'm just gonna buy it and put it together.
yeah.
It's one of those like buy or DIY things where you're like, okay, is buying the lumber, the paint, and all the stuff like worth it, or just buying the pre-made thing? And I was
Yeah,
like, the pre-made thing was like $60.
right.
The lumber for everything and like the plan and stuff to put it together was going to cost me like well over $150. So I was just like,
Oh, geez.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just
sometimes
gonna.
I yeah, because I just the other day, like I guess like my loft area really needed some organizing, and there was just a lot of the shelves I had were like open, so you could see a lot. Like if I didn't organize it, you could see the mess. And then at
Mhm.
some point, I was just like, I need to like hello, Des Jack. At some point I like kind of just like gave up and I was like, you know what, I need to go get something so I could like, organize this and just put it behind closed doors. Messes behind closed doors, right? So I went to IKEA and I found this like thing that you can just build. Each set is $40. So you can build as long or as high as you want. And it worked
Mhm.
perfectly. So I rearranged a lot and it looks so much better. Like when you have like a nice space, like a clean, organized space, it makes you think better.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, like, IKEA always has like the best organizational stuff. It's hard to go in there and not be inspired. I feel like,
Yeah.
so this
Mm-hmm.
craft room here, I'm planning to like redo this whole wall. I was gonna remake a whole built-in, and there's this,
Nice.
yeah. So I already have the cabinets for the old cabinets, but I guess apparently they're getting discontinued. So I'm trying to find them from every single store to like just get them because I don't want to buy a whole new
Right.
set and have to sell this one. But I was gonna do a
Yeah.
built-in, and I think it'll be really like much cleaner than what I have now. Which this is fine. Don't get me wrong. It's just I don't know. It'll be another fun project to attempt. But
Are you getting it from like container stores or something like that?
no. So it was gonna be just from IKEA as well because it's like the
Yeah,
cheapest
okay.
that I could find. It's like $70 for like
Yeah.
2 cabinets versus other places they would sell for way more. And then I'm
Yeah.
just going to build like a 2x4 base and then mount it to the wall and
Nice.
stuff.
Oh yeah, there's like so
Then,
many like there's so many DIY like IKEA hacks, so you could totally
yeah,
spruce it up and everything. And for me, like I do look at online to see what furnitures are available, but a lot of times like IKEA just makes more sense, you know. And
yeah,
I know like the quality of it, so I know like what to do. And luckily, it wasn't wood, but it was like a thin metal, so then that's
yeah,
definitely durable, you know.
yeah. And even like with like something like as a built-in, I don't want to spend too much on it because like what if I
Right,
move? I can't take
right,
it with me. It's like mounted to the wall,
right. Yeah,
So
totally.
yeah, so I'd rather just not spend too much, but at least still have like it. Still sell it as like, oh, look at this room, it has a built-in, a custom
Yeah.
built-in, but knowing that I didn't like spend like a ton on oak or whatever. So,
No, I
um,
totally agree.
okay, so are you still working on your
So, I finished my skirt. So now I'm working on the top. It's
uh-huh.
obviously small, so it's just the base of it, so it's not done. But yeah, I'm excited to work on the top. At this point, the weather's been getting really warm, so this outfit really was for spring. But then I picked the colors specifically so that I could also wear it for fall. So I think at this point, I might even just save it for fall to do a shoot. We'll see. We'll see. Unless there's like a cold front coming up.
Yeah, and still, I mean, they have like crochet swimsuits, so
They do,
which I
but it's
think
like
is always
less like fabric. Do you know what I mean? So it's not. This is like the whole top plus a skirt. So I think we can
yeah.
get pretty warm.
Yeah, I got into the whole macrame like crochet swimsuits for a little bit, like a
Oh
couple
yeah.
summers ago. Yeah, and
Hmm.
then I didn't make it. I bought one, and I was just like, oh, it's gonna be so cute. And then I get in the water, I'm just like, this is not cute because it like absorbs everything and it like sags and
Oh
like,
yes,
and
that's
because it's
true.
crochet, so it's holey. So you're just
Oh no.
like so yeah, I mean aesthetic and like Instagram photos fantastic, but it's not practical at all
No,
and like would not
no.
recommend. And they're not in comparison to other swimsuits, they're not like that much cheap. I mean, they're a little bit more
Yeah.
expensive, but it's like a trendy thing. So
Well,
okay.
my skirt is already pretty heavy without water. So yeah, I could imagine
Oh
wearing
gosh,
it with water like soaked into it. It's like
it's
no.
just it's just gonna just fall off your body.
Right. Yeah. No
Oh, it's cute.
thanks.
The vanity came with some cute little hair bows and hair ties and stuff. That's cute.
Cute.
I know she's gonna love it. Yeah, so like she's gonna go to Nebraska soon to visit her grandma with Papa, and so I'm gonna be home for
Aw.
like a whole week by myself. And I thought, well, that'd be like the perfect time to like remake her whole room to make it like all cute the way she wants it.
Oh, cute.
So yeah, so when she comes home, I'm gonna have like a little surprise reveal for her and see how she reacts. And it's gonna be like a princess vanity table with like a bunk bed and a slide and like
Aw.
so that's what I'm gonna spend my whole week doing instead of like relaxing because
You
I'm
didn't
incapable
want
of
to
relaxing.
you didn't want to go on the trip?
No. I think the past couple of times I've gone so many times, and don't get me wrong, like I enjoy the trip, but I think the past like 3-4 years I've spent so much time with like family that I haven't gotten time like alone with
Okay.
myself. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I need 1 week to organize the house, clean the house, and like do
Yeah.
what I want to the house. So I
Hmm.
figured, they're fine. I mean, they can take care of themselves. And I think it's one of those things where I had to be okay with not being there on a longer trip,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they need to be able to do that without me, in
Yeah.
case knock on wood, whatever. So disclaimers. Let's see. The first thing is trigger warning. We will be talking about child abuse, child sex abuse, which is very, very hard for a lot of people. So protect yourself, protect your energy, come back to a different one if you need to. And then the next thing is that these are also just our opinions that we want to share with you guys and see your thoughts as well. And we're just sharing our process with each other while we're on the live. And I think the next disclaimer is yours.
Yeah, and we just ask for respect when we're talking about those people that are in this episode. It's just on our channel we don't condone any type of harassment, so we just would want to have like an open discussion here. And you have any type of questions, you can feel free to like message us and let us know, and we'll address it. But yeah, definitely do not condone any type of harassment or bullying on this channel and other channels.
Yes. Okay. So I think we've put off the Duggar stuff for a couple of weeks now because we're just like always so behind on our stories.
Yeah.
So okay, this one Mel, do you know the Duggars? Like the whole
No.
TV show and stuff? Okay, so the Duggars, they're kind of like this religious fundamentalist family. And the dad and the mom, Bob Duggar, or Billy Bob, I think is what he goes by. They first started on the show, and then they had like 19 kids or something, and then
Jeez. Are they Mormon?
Yeah. Christian.
My God.
Christian fundamentalists. Yeah, and so they had a lot of children, and then they kind of pretty much had a whole TV, like a reality TV show all around that whole family. And then what is the eldest name? Jeff Duggar, I think that's his name.
I don't know any of them.
Why is his name leaving my head? Maybe I just like blocked him out completely this whole week.
Has any like additional pop up since the last time we had like tried to talk about it and then just kept pushing it off?
Well, I don't know how far Josh, that's his name.
Okay.
Right? Yes, Josh. Yeah, so basically Josh is the eldest one, and he just got caught for having a lot of CP on his computer. And so basically so I guess how they found out was it was almost a year and a half ago when like the investigators were just like, okay, we kind of have an idea that this guy has CP on his computer, but we want to make sure that we build a good case around it. And I think it wasn't until like 17 months later when they finally got him into custody. And it was because that the computer that he used to store the CP on had like a partition, like a separate drive where he stored all that on. Well, to get into that partition, he had to use a password, and they were kind of like tracking, all of his movements and stuff. And they noticed that the password that he used on that partition is also the same password that he used for his bank accounts. And so, yeah, I know, right? And like,
wait, how old is Josh?
Josh is like 30 something. He's like late 30s.
He still lives at home with his family?
No, he moved out. No. He's the eldest of the 19 kids.
Yeah.
He's the eldest of 19 kids. He's married. His marriage, the birth of his children was just like all on reality. It's from the show 19 Kids and Counting. I don't know if you've like heard of them. Yeah, so it was like, all like the reality TV stuff where they just kind of like follow the family. It's kind of like the Kim Kardashians, but like for fundamentalist families. And then like, they have their own offshoots as well. It's just like, Josh had his own show, and then like other family members have their own shows because there's just so many of them, right? So basically that was that's how they kind of like kept an eye on him, because I guess like in the support system is like, well, it's one thing to catch them with CP, or it's one thing to see that their internet or IP address is going on to these websites and stuff. It's another thing to prove that that person is behind the computer doing that. And how do we make that connection? Like they needed a hard case, and so that's why they waited a little bit longer to kind of watch him and know that, okay, this is him logging in and not someone else, and they made the connection through, all right, his CP partition password is the same as his bank account. There's no way it could be any other person, right? Unless it's his wife, you know? So basically, you know, now that they found out, and the thing is, like, the stuff that he has is like, I guess, like, one of the investigators that was kind of commenting on it in during his bond was that, like, it was because he works in a lot of like child abuse cases, and so he says that, like, if he had to rank where this is like one of the more harder things for him to have to watch, because you have to go through the files, you know, which is like, I would not be able to, like, I don't know if I told you this, but like a couple of years ago, I was just like, I kind of want to be a lawyer, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to look at, you know, crime scenes or like child exploitation, like images.
It can
like,
get
I don't know.
really dark really fast. And I even from the world, like detectives or FBI's or things like that, I'm sure they get like nightmares, you know, like PTSD when they come upon a crime scene. So it can really mess up your mentality.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, and so the guy said that it's like, you know, it's one of like, because he works in a lot of like cyber stuff, and it was just like, he said that it's one of the harder ones that he had to sift through, and it was just like, and it wasn't just
yay, Big Tram, welcome.
Oh, it's been a month I can finally watch this live again. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh gosh, that is so rough. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Well, I want to say it does get better, but it will get rocky for a little bit there with your kid on the sleep schedule situation. But so like where was I? And my brain is kind of like, I can't hear myself because my nose is stuffed up again.
So offside, we talked to when you just mentioned about like you didn't think that it was a wife, and a thought came to my mind. You know, a lot of these like predators are mostly men, like with CP, which is, you know, like, I mean, I'm not saying that like women can't have that either, but it's just you know, it kind of makes
stats wise, like statistically, it has been majority more male than female. Like, that's just numbers, right? Like, we can't.
But why does it affect men, mostly men, when it comes to CP? Isn't that odd?
It's because what happened is so again, me, not a psychologist, just listen to a lot of podcasts, and so and a lot of like psychiatric podcasts and stuff. And one of the things that they talk about is that men or little boys, when they're younger, are taught to basically not express their emotions, like when they're sad or when they need a hug or when they need kisses or when they need to be loved and held. They can't express that because it's like, oh, don't be a sissy boy, right? And so what happens is that when they grow up, they end up being stunted, and so they take that emotion out onto younger children because it's like, well, I wanted to hug as a kid or whatever.
It's a control factor.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a need thing, right? Like, I didn't get that when I was a kid, so I'm trying to recreate that. Another thing is that, like, you know, when younger boys who have been abused will also be more willing to be abusers themselves, whereas women or little girls who have been abused tend to go into depression or suicidal ideation. So we become
we become withdrawn, whereas men become like
They act
just
out, right?
act out, like
Yeah.
most boys do. Hey,
Yeah.
hello,
And
Sparkles. We are talking about the Duggars right now.
yeah. Yes, Miss Ashley. So, and again, hashtag not all, right? I think we are trying to
Yeah,
raise more gentle little boys and more loving little boys, and we're trying to raise tougher girls. So it's
yeah,
all into parenting. I think we've talked about that enough and beat that one, beat that
yeah.
horse a couple of times. I don't even
Jesus.
know where that phrase came from, where it's like, stop beating a dead horse. Like,
I
this
don't
is so
know,
horrible.
but that's my horoscope, my Chinese horoscope, and I really don't want to be beaten down.
Yeah, I was just
So
like,
let's
that's
take that away.
yeah, and so basically, they backtrack. They found the CP on his
Hmm.
computer, and then they were going through the his bond trial, trying to figure out how much, like, he's gonna be released out for bail or bond. And basically the catch is that he gets to stay with a family friend, and the
Hmm.
lady that was there says that, yeah, he can stay with us, stay on our farm, and our the stipulation is that he can't have access to the internet until trial. And so he's just kind of like hanging out there right now until the trial date comes. So he has 3 kids, I think 2 or 3 right now, and that's the reason why they don't want to send him back home after release. And so here's another thing is that I guess Josh Duggar, when he was in his teens, was touching his younger siblings.
Really?
And yeah, and I don't know, he didn't get prosecuted for that. And it was 2 times that this happened. I think it was,
So
I
he
don't
already
know.
showed signs as a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah, as a teenager. So he was touching his siblings, and I think it was something that was like told to the pastor or like the church community. Like it didn't really, like it didn't really go through the legal system. So there's kind of like a weird trend.
Hmm.
And if that is the case, and if you know that as someone who was a teenager, then why didn't you get him help as a
Yep.
teenager? You know, because now in his 30s with children, because we don't know if he's ever done anything with his children. Like we don't, right? And hopefully
Yeah.
he did, but at the same time, it's like now he's in his 30s and he's downloading these things, which also harms other children. And it's
Hmm.
like, I don't know. It's like, why didn't he get help then? That's my thing. I do know that like especially on the internet right now, like this whole accusing people of like pedophilia it's problematic in the sense that, like, how do I say this without being insensitive? I guess basically, like, there's a lot of people on YouTube, like for example James Charles, right? People would like tag him and call him like a pedophile, but I think that's a little bit different when you're talking to when you're 24 talking to teenagers. I'm not saying that that's not wrong, that is still inappropriate and wrong and can be harmful, but I do think that the gap of a 30-something-year-old man with kids married watching CP of like a 5, 6, 7-year-old, like I feel like that is a different kind of evil, and that is actually, for me, is the P word, and I think we have to be
Yeah.
careful on how we use those words, right?
Well, and the thing is, like, it was really, yes, it was up to the, since he had shown early signs of this, it was definitely up to the parents, for sure, to get him some kind of help. And the fact that they didn't, and he continued on, why do you think that he would think something was wrong with it if his parents didn't think there was something wrong with it for him to get help? So he's gonna continue with it without having to like seek help. You know what I mean?
Okay, so Ashley said that okay, so from her understanding, there's a file report on him because the new sheriff or whatever is, um, or what the word she's looking for, didn't process along those lines. And then he when he did that to his sisters, they sent him to camp to overcome it, which clearly that's not what should have happened. So then, like, we go back to the whole camp thing where, like, you
Yep.
send your kids off to the camp and it's like really,
You're not helping them.
you're not really doing very much, right? Like, it's just like you're sending your problems away. And of course, it's like when you have like a sexual urge like that, it's more than not just psychological, but it's like a need, right? Like, okay, let's backtrack and let's talk about sex for a little bit. Like there are things that turns us on, right? Like for me, it would be another hetero man, right? For him would be children, which is like, again, not okay, but that's like what does it for him. And at this point, it's like you can't conversion therapy them out. Like you can't. It's kind of like back in the early 90s and the late 80s when they did conversion therapy on homosexuality, thinking that, like, you can. It doesn't work like that, right? So for him, it would have to be more like, how do you resist the urge? How do you completely, find ways to cope so that you don't actually hurt children? And it's such this topic makes me uncomfortable because it's like I have a child of my own, right? And so it's like, for me, automatically the first thing I want is just like take them out, set them all on fire, right? Like keep them on an island. I don't want them like in my like general vicinity. But then you also have those who are attracted to minors but have not acted upon those urges, and it's like, it's such. I guess it's such a hard conversation because I'm a mom and I'm definitely biased, and I want to know what you think, Mel.
No, I totally agree with you. Like not having kids, but I've definitely I care for my brothers and sisters since they were babies. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's always that like like women, of course, have a protective trait like within us. So we're it's just we can't fathom having this type of attraction to kids. Like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like they're not even developed. I think it's just more about having that control and seeing that they could do that to a kid that has no understanding of the world. They have like at least not a developed understanding. So people like him feel like they could manipulate this type of the type of kids. So with the stuff that were found on his computer, was it stuff that he just like found from the internet, or was it stuff he acted upon and is stored on his computer?
It was stuff that was kind of like from a particular site that kind of most of these guys know about, and
Oh
they
God.
kind of tap into it. And that's the thing, is that like, and it wasn't for me. Like, I'm not saying that like a 15, 16, 17-year-old is not bad, when things like that happen. But like to think like a 5, 6, 7-year-old, like to me, it's just so heartbreaking. It's like and I don't want to say that there's levels, because like trauma is trauma, but that's what was on his computer. It ranges from 5 to 15-year-olds, right? And it's like,
they're so innocent. It's almost,
children.
yeah, like how to have them like go through something like that. It's just so heartbreaking, because like I can't even imagine, and I just don't understand. I wouldn't be able to like understand where people find the fascination for that. Like I just can't.
Like, I get back in medieval times or whatever, when, you know, older 20, 30 something year old men or kings were marrying 14-year-olds, right? Like the moment that, you know, she's like reproductive, it was like, it was, you know, it was a way to pass on their their genes, because, oh, this young girl can carry my child better than this other lady who's like older or whatever, you know, like that was back in Renaissance time, and like, okay, sure, whatever, like that's how their mind was there.
Well,
not that it's okay now.
Also within modern like now that it's modern medicine have like expanded so much. Back then the life expectancy was like really low, so like women or people would just die at 30 or something, which is probably why they married young.
So okay, sure, but now, you know, we're living till like 100, so and even the concept of like monogamy. Monogamy. Like this lady was saying that we're no longer living in the time of monogamy. We're living in the time of monogamish, where it's like one partner at a time. But it doesn't mean that we're monogamy. We're monogamous, because that means that you have one partner for the rest of your life, which you know isn't really true anymore. We have multiple partners, one at a time, for a span of our lives. So we're technically not monogamous, right? So if we're changing the definition of what monogamy is, then we should also change the definition of like what is actual age appropriate for relationships. Ashley said, I think the sheriff or whatever went to the church, and put that in quotes because it's a church that Jim Bob runs out of his home. Also could be completely wrong. And then Katrina asked, are we talking about that guy from A Very Large Family? Yes, Katrina, we're talking about Josh Duggar. And then Ashley says,
so I don't want to put like the whole, you know, religion into this, but honestly, a lot of the true crimes I've been listening to, they all have been like effed up by their religion or by their church somehow, that they develop, you know, this type of like mindset that they have to either commit a crime to get out something or hide whatever they, you know, what kind of like things that they're into. I don't know what it is, but I feel like it's more like a very repressed type of like thinking that they have.
Yes, I completely agree. And it's that whole like Puritan mentality, where it, and I'm not saying like all religions, like there's obviously good religions too, right? But the ones that represses like sex, or says that like, you know, sex is dirty, gross, you know, you're XYZ if you give yourself up too early, or things like that. Those are the ones that not only puts bad ideas and concept into women, like especially young girls who are like, okay, well, I am a disgusting human being if like I get touched or whatever, right? So they don't talk, they don't speak out, you know, when something bad happens to them. And then you get men who are like so repressed because it's like, oh, they're not supposed to be doing this. But like in particular, the Duggars family, the fundamentalist family, they kind of have like this idea that like women are supposed to be submissive, they're supposed to stay home, they're not supposed to like wear revealing clothing, they only can wear skirts, no pants, they're very traditional, they have to have lots of kids, that's their only role, they're not supposed to go to like not have education or jobs or careers or whatever. So it's like still very traditional, and almost like taking us as women back like 20, 30 years. 50 years even. So, and that's what Ashley's saying. She says Anna, I think is her name, can even back him after all that has come out in him, and still floors me. Anna is his wife, right? Like, because she's saying she's not making a statement whatsoever, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. I'm just like, it blows my mind, because like if I was telling Mel this yesterday too. I was just like, if I can whiff like if Papa Bear is a murderer or something, like I would know. Like how would you not know if like I guess, and then again, like I don't want to put the blame on the woman either, but at the same time, if you're in the same church as him, then you would know that he went to this camp, right? Like
I don't know. Like for people, sometimes I feel like there are women out there who turn a blind eye to something like this because they don't want to mess up their marriage. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing, and especially if they grew up religious, they don't
Mm-hmm.
want to divorce. You know, like they say that, and they have to stand up for man, which is like a type of upbringing. Like I get loyalty, I totally get it. It's just that sometimes you can't not stay loyal to someone that's like just their moral compass is totally off. You know, there's just no, I don't know, like unless they like seriously consciously try to get help and really want to get help, there's no way for I feel like women stay would I don't think that women should stay blindly with someone like that, like if they're not gonna willingly help themselves, right? Because you can only do so much.
Yeah, I mean, to devil's advocate, which is like 7 levels of hell devil here. Um,
Yeah,
let's, because she is from this family where it's like, oh, you can't have an education, you probably don't have your own money, you don't have any, career path. So like maybe that's harder for her to leave kind of situation, because there's that whole when a woman is in like a domestic relationship and the that question is always, why don't you just leave? Well,
well,
sometimes it might not be that easy.
and also because they're brainwashed.
And yeah, definitely, and that too. So I'm pretty sure Anna or his wife like had an inkling, but at the same time like is too brainwashed or too beaten down or too scared or afraid
Yeah,
or whatever to leave. So
yeah,
there's that too. So that's why like I try, I'm careful about like not placing blame on the wife,
yeah,
but I think maybe I'm just coming from like a place of like with
because
more
compassion.
yeah, and also I'm coming from a place of like, hey, I've been able to leave a relationship before, or hey, I have
Yeah,
a background in education, financially okay, so maybe they're like that. I'm coming from that perspective, right? But then like if you really think about it, it's like, oh well, not all women are as fortunate, right? So
no, and like if with all the stuff that's coming out for Josh Duggar, is like the wife is still sticking by him, right?
oh my gosh, Angela's here. They're often
Oh,
women
hey,
without
Angela.
agency. We were just talking about you yesterday
Yeah,
because we wanted you to join a true crime thing with us sometime. Um, okay.
we're gonna announce it next Friday. But
Yeah.
so what I'm saying is that if Anna or Anne is still with the husband while he's going through all this stuff, goes to show that she either one doesn't believe that that's the case, even though there are plain hard facts on his computer, or
Mm-hmm.
second, like yeah, she wants to believe, she doesn't want to believe also like the guy that she's married to come to like could do something like this, right?
Yeah.
And then third, obviously, the fact that it's like the religious, so she would still uphold her religious values and stay with
Yeah.
this person. So I could see her doing that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like in that religion, in their like group, it's like very no to go through a divorce.
Yeah.
So there's also that too, and who knows? Like he probably has all the money, so like how is she gonna have a lawyer to like go through divorce? Because that's also expensive. They also have
Yeah.
children, so there's that, and
It's messy,
like
but
yeah, like I think for a lot of people on the outside, it's just so easy to be like, why don't you just leave? But like they're like you and I, we had pretty like quote unquote clean divorces, as in like we
yeah,
don't have a crime in either of our in either of our partners past, and then we
we didn't have
also
any kids at the
we didn't have
time.
any kids. As far as like finances, like it was pretty like clean to mess with,
Yeah.
but even that took 2-3 years to like
Yeah.
process through. So
And that also took an emotional toll too.
and an emotional toll. So like I guess you and I can be more compassionate about it because it's just like, okay, yeah, we've been through like the simple part of it, the as quote unquote as simple side of it, and even that still felt hard. So I can't imagine like being in the media scrutinized like that, and then obviously your husband have this other case in the background, you being in a fundamental group where you probably don't have any money, educational background, or a career, or a plan B, or a place to go to. So it's easy for people on the outside to just like, why don't you just leave? But it's simply not. Let's
No.
see. Well, as
Plus, the
she
people
says,
who
no.
voice the people who voice that, they're not attached to the situation, so they can definitely say, "Oh, you have the choice to leave." It's definitely easier said than done. Like people who are in it takes a while to have to like get to that to decide to that point. Um, that's only if they have their own autonomy. If they don't,
Yes.
then they feel quote unquote stuck in the situation and like live it.
Yes. Ashley says now she could have known and thought he changed, which is reasonable, but this is like his second or third time has been outed for this type of stuff and knew about it. And this is to me is not news, and she shouldn't be so supportive. I think she was
Yeah.
living with Jim Bob and Michelle with the first big round of news, so they might have drilled stuff in her with it.
Oh
Yeah,
my God. So
yeah,
she
I
knew.
yeah. I mean, she knew about the sibling stuff. And then she knew when the investigator came the first time, and then this would be the third. So it's like I don't know if she's supportive at this point, or if she's just like, what's the word? Just sitting there, like just
Just
waiting to see
being
what else happens. Yeah,
blindingly loyal to this guy.
yeah,
Because,
yeah. Or she's just
yeah.
like writing it out, almost like I just need to be there for my children at this point, kind of situation, like you can still be in a relationship and not be supportive of your husband, like
Yeah, but that's not
but
the way
at
to
the
live. And then,
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Like, what state are they in?
They're somewhere in the southeast, right?
So, do they not have, like, do the
Arkansas,
wives,
I think.
don't the wives out there, like, have divorce rights? Like, don't they get half of something when they get divorced?
Yeah. I don't know what that would be like, and who knows if like she signed a prenup. Forgot honestly, like I would not be surprised if like before she married into that family that she signed a prenup. Like, um,
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't consider him very smart.
well, his dad is
So,
though, because his dad owned this whole empire. So I'm pretty sure he probably sat him down and was just like, "Here, Anna, like here's this. Before you move into our family, sign that." Because rich family fathers do that. You
well,
know.
if that's the case, she would still get some kind of compensation leaving.
Yeah, but it probably would not come into effect until after the divorce. And before you go through a divorce, you need money, right?
There are like councils out there that would, do it for pro bono,
That's true. And you know what? And because this case is so big, I'm pretty sure any lawyers would be like, hey, we would do this for
right?
you. And then we would
Yeah,
take the fee afterwards.
right.
But that is assuming that she knows this knowledge.
I don't know. It's
That's
just tough.
the,
I don't know. Like I feel like there's like they have to live in a rock for you to not know this type of like you could Google the information. Like I don't know. I can't
yeah.
yeah, like I cannot support someone who just like blindly like have no knowledge of something like that. I mean, if you're smart, you could find things out easily.
So Angela says the victim in these circumstances also often emotionally and mentally manipulated for years and decades into believing they have to stay. She's probably
See,
just
yeah,
accepted that this is how is her life. Yeah, I think it's almost like conditioned into
she
her brain
she's
and her
resigned
emotions.
to it. Yeah,
Yeah. So I guess there's this idea of just like being like in contempt and just sitting there and seeing what happens. Like it's not. I don't think she's in support of it. I just think she's like, okay, at this point, like you can be blah, right? Like you could just be
Mm-hmm.
like, I blah, but maybe she's and then again another benefit of that is maybe in the background she is tinkering and we don't know, right? Like sometimes you can make moves in silence, and the public and the media doesn't know
Yeah.
it too. So there's
So
that.
until the story unfolds, we really don't know the whole situation. We don't. She hasn't talked since, right? So we don't know what her
Mhm.
thoughts are. So all we're doing is just coming up with what she could be thinking or doing, or I don't know. But it's gonna be hard because that's not those are not what's happening right now. We don't know what
Yes.
she's really going through. So until we find out more information, it's hard for us to like draw a conclusion for that.
Yeah. On the same note, though, Ashley says that the parents kind of have like a lot of say on who marries who. Um, like and and so I'm pretty sure the father had like a huge hand
Picking the
in
wife.
like yeah, not only just agreeing to who gets to marry who, but at the same time, like how much money this one's gonna get or that one's gonna get.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. Like the whole setup is so archaic to me. Like I guess I don't understand it because we're women of like of what's the word
Sane
of a certain
mind.
generation. Yeah, not sane, but like I guess of a certain knowledge or
Yeah.
generation or with or without religion, and it's I guess I've never. It goes back to the whole Socrates thing, where it's like if you're raised in a cave and all you see are shadows, and you think that that's your reality, right? Like
Yeah.
in the same note with like people who are in religious groups or cults, it's kind of cult like in a sense if you think about it.
Oh no,
Um,
it's totally cult like.
yeah,
For sure.
yeah. So like, how would you know what the world is like if you're so brainwashed and mentally and emotionally beaten down too?
Right. Like
I just feel
and
bad for the
I
kids.
yeah, and I get that these people need religion to survive or things like that, but they have to supplement that with something else, like to have another perspective on things. Though the religion is not like the one all be all kind of thing, like end all be all kind of thing. So but I don't know, when you're like brainwashed at such a young age, like to go to church all the time and to raise to say this is how your life should be, it's hard to break out of that cycle unless someone else comes into your life to help you realize something.
Yeah, and then at the same time, it's like at what cost? Like when you get to a
Yeah.
point in in any dogma, whether it's religion, a lifestyle, a job, like you have to ask yourself at what cost. Am
Yep.
I, like what is it? How's this serving me? Like what kind of benefit or negatives that's bringing into my life? And I think religion's one of those things that people often don't sometimes like question themselves because maybe the truth is something that they're not ready to face you
Yeah.
know um and it's almost like the same thing as like when you're in a relationship and you're just like, okay, I don't feel good in this relationship. My
Mhm.
emotional cup is not filled.
Mhm.
So the question would be, do I leave him, or like is he a good part? Like instead of asking do I leave him, you should ask, is he a good partner for me? And people don't ask
Yep.
that question because they already know the truth, and by asking it, it's like having to face it. And
Yeah.
so it's the same with religion. It's like, at what cost? Like and I don't think a lot of people get to a place where they're comfortable enough or not afraid enough to ask that question.
So
Okay.
what's the bad stigma surrounding Arizona? I mean, I do know
Arkansas.
there's a lot of
Wait, Arkansas
Mormons
or
who. Oh,
no, it's
sorry,
Arkansas. Yeah,
Arkansas. Okay,
yeah.
never mind. Wrong state.
It's
Yeah,
very
what?
it's very Republican, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but not that Republicans are bad. Like I don't like to stroke that either. Just because, you're a Republican doesn't mean you support Trump either. So I do want to make that clear. I think some people can be like economically Republican and like still liberals, which then I would call them libertarians. But I think it's because they do get a bad rep for the Duggars, and then for being, Southern and then Republican. Yeah. So because they were from my state, which I don't even proudly say from here because of all the bad stigma, is that the right word that's associated with AR, than when they were clearly, yes, Arkansas. Yeah, it's just their, yeah.
Right. What's a bad stigma besides Republicans being? Because that's a lot of that would be a lot
I guess
of
it's
things.
I guess it's the Duggars, right? I mean, like, then Texas would be, a stigma too, because we're pretty Republican down here too.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But like,
you cannot just be Republicans.
Yeah. So I honestly, maybe it's just the Duggars. Yes, Republican, and that we sleep with our siblings. Oh, I've never heard that before.
What?
Wait,
that
is it
I've never heard.
Yeah.
Well, see,
the backwoods of it.
Okay,
I've
if
never
that's
heard
the
that.
case, like where people are getting that stigma about sleeping with siblings, how did they get that idea? And if that was the case, maybe Josh Duggars also bought into that idea.
Ashley is like, I'm not a Republican, and yes, that is a thing.
Oh my God.
No, it's kind of like that trope of like, quote unquote, rednecks like sleep with each other and their family members, and like they're hillbillies or something. That's the stereotype that kind of perpetuates when you talk about like backwoods, right?
Yeah.
Have you heard of that before?
Heard of what?
So like the whole like, super rednecky people would like, sleep with their sisters, and you get that like hillbilly, farmer kind of like not so bright.
I didn't
Like
think
trope
that
that you
was
see in the movies. Like in the movies or in comedy, you see that get made fun of a lot.
Yeah, but I just thought it was just that made fun of. But I mean, maybe I'm just being like naive, but I didn't think that it was happening on a daily basis, like, or even up till now. So, like back then, I would say like people had married their cousins and things like that, and that was normal, but like that is
Yeah.
obviously not anymore. So,
Well, like I know from like in Louisiana, there are some like very swamp lands area where it would be, I guess they would call it redneck, which I also, again, is like a stereotype. Like I don't like either. But because it's dismissive, right? Like, oh, my card is full. It's dismissive, and it's, it's rude or whatever. So I guess basically, like in Louisiana, like in sorry, my camera is off, but in I guess the swampy area, there are families who do that, and it still is happening now, but it's not because that, again, like I have compassion in the sense that's like, well, they live in the swamp, they're in that bubble, they don't know what the world is like on the outside, they don't know, I guess the word is like they don't know any better, and I'm not saying that that's okay, but it's like they're so isolated and secluded,
Okay, just because, yeah, I don't know if that's like a good thing either, but I think that they would at least see from examples. I'm sure, like if they had that, if the sleeping with siblings are still continuing and everything, can't they also see that if they happen to get pregnant, that the baby doesn't come out like correctly, like not correctly, but they say that siblings having kids, the babies develop some kind of like abnormalities. So don't they think that that's actually, like, hey, maybe there's something not correct, not kosher about this? I don't know.
Oh no, so there's this guy that I really admire. He has a documentary on sorry, I have to check my camera to make sure that's working. He has a document, not a documentary, but like an interview thing on on his YouTube channel, and he used to be a photographer for like Vogue and Cosmo and stuff, and he's like really, really famous. And he decided that like, what's the point of all this money if I'm not doing actual good with like my photography? And so he decided to start a YouTube channel called the Soft White Underbelly, and it's like him doing interviews of like the people that we don't see in the US, like sex workers, you know, trans men and women, incest families. And there's one that was like really sad because it's like he asked, like, he's just like, do you know that it's wrong to sleep with your sisters or your family members? And he's just like, the guy was just like, he basically responded with like, I heard that it's wrong, but we've done it for so long that we like, it's just, you know, and you can tell that all the wirings are not there because of how inbred the family is. And even like, you know, the whole family, like, you know, some of them were blind, some of them were mute, some of them, you know, were not mentally all there. And so it's just the whole, so it's like when you're bred like that for so long, and you have like a simple mind and you're living in that bubble, I'm not saying that it's right, because we obviously fail as a society, honestly, to not reach out and help, or we go through that whole phase of like, you know, we don't see it, so therefore it doesn't exist kind of thing. But yeah, Katrina's like, I know what you're talking about. I watched that too. But like, you know, when you live in that, and it's that whole Socrates thing. It's like, you know, when all you see are shadows and you think that's your reality, and no one from the outside come in to tell you and teach you and raise you, then how would you know any different? Like, how would you know that having this baby that comes out that is not normal looking is actually not normal looking, because you've never seen what normal is, right? So
yeah, like if they've been living in that type of world, and no one's telling them if it's not normal. But I don't know. I just feel like at some point they must have said some kind of, like, some people have said something, you know?
Yeah. And I think what it was, I don't know if Katrina, you might remember this documentary where a whole family, and Katrina says that they interviewed the whole family and everyone has like some sort of disability. And so like you have like a brain disability on top of that. So how can you have philosophical, moral, ethical processes, you know, all up there? Now, I have to say that like human nature, like our ability to sense that something is wrong is like very strong. So I'm pretty sure that they have sensed that something was not right, but I guess that they're so in that world that like they don't feel like they can leave, right? Or have the tools or the mental capacity to leave. And so like it's the same with like, you know, religious families, you know. I mean, like if we even water it down or simplify it to like kids who come in families that are just traditional, not even religious, just traditional families who have a son or a daughter who comes out to be gay, and their family's just like, nope, we're not going to be okay with that. And so their choice is to, okay, I'm going to pretend to be straight, or I'm going to run away and go into this world that seems scary. I don't have any money. I don't have any resources. I don't know anyone else in my life, because all the people that are in my life are people who are friends of my families who, you know, also do support being straight and not gay people. So I can't reach out to them. So it's like, they feel like the world is against them, right? So what is easier to do, to pretend to be straight or to leave, you know? So, and that's, quote, like, that's like the smaller issue in comparison to like, let's say the Duggar family or the incest family. So, okay, or the people that live in or on a cult or community. I think that's what Ashley was trying to say. That. So, yeah, I think maybe I've just been like, I know that that's like all that stuff is wrong, right? Like I morally, ethically, as a mother, as a person of our community, like I know that that is wrong. But at the same time, it's like, well, I can know that it's wrong, but I think it would be a disservice for me to like judge, right? Like I can know that's
No,
wrong. Okay, now how do we vote so that this stuff can be fixed, mitigated, and corrected? And how do we get resources to those kind of people versus, um, judging, I guess.
I know that it's the same thing that we had talked about before, how like if when they're in the atmosphere, in that bubble, it's hard to break out of that because they're being taught something like this day in, day out, just like hate is being taught, right? If that's all you know, that's all you're gonna grow up to believe. And that's sad because at some point, I don't know who it would be, or it may be the government, to make it like a law saying that it is illegal, but I don't know if that's even going to change anything. But there needs to be some kind of something to like break that cycle. Like I and at that point, like I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is because I just feel it's just going to be an ongoing cycle if no one breaks it.
Well, I think the scary part is that like Bob Duggar is like really into the politics of Arkansas too. So like that's scary knowing that like someone that's in that kind of fundamentalist church being into politics and wanting to make change towards his own agenda,
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. I don't know. I guess it's a bigger question. And I think there won't be a lot of solutions until much, much, much longer. I think, I mean, it took us forever to get women's right. It took us forever to go through the civil rights. So I don't know. I guess I don't know the right answer to that. I think as far as the Duggar family, we just hope that like, you know, because we do have like domestic violence resources and stuff, um, and now at this point it's like, is it shame? Sometimes it's shame, sometimes it's embarrassment, um, and I also don't, I guess like growing up around a lot of people that I've known who've gone through domestic violence before and the cycle of coming back and staying and coming back and staying, like I can understand the shame, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that like, and these are family members of mine too. So it's like, you know, we could only help so much because we also have our own lives. And that's just the
Mm-hmm.
reality of it. Like, as humans, we want to have our own lives, and it's like we can only help you out so much. And with domestic violence or emotional abuse and stuff, you drain a lot of your own emotional resources and financial resources or space resources and stuff to help someone out, and that can be draining too. And it's just unfortunate. That's just like the whole human nature of it all, right?
Just
Do
like
you?
when it's like now that I'm like fully vaccinated, I have this need to like go and reach out to my friends who I haven't really spoken to for the past year or so, just to see like what's going on. But one specifically, I did reach out because I on Instagram I just feel like there were certain she, she was like releasing content that I felt like it was kind of like maybe a little bit so like a little bit introspective, and I wanted to reach out and just to make sure that she's okay. And I feel as if that people, yes, you can be busy in your life, but you need to also take a little bit of time to kind of reach out to people when you see something, right? Like, and just make sure that they're okay, because like you just don't know what they're going through. And then I know that I've been through certain situations where it was nice to hear from someone,
Yeah.
and like, and I found out that she also similar, when we were talking about domestic abuse, that she had gone through something like that, and broke my heart because I wish I had reached out sooner, like. And you never want to blame Sorry.
Well, I mean, you don't want to
It's
take
like you've been
on.
no. Like it's not just that, but I think like, you don't want to. You definitely want to be there as their support system, but you never want to like say anything about like, well, why'd you stay with this person for so long? Why you
Yeah,
do this and that? You know what I mean? Like you don't want to make them feel as if like maybe I should have. You know what I mean? Like why did I do something wrong for staying for so long? We women inherently just want to see the best in the other person, you know what I mean? And we either tell ourselves lies to move forward, or we try to just make seem as if it's gonna go away. You know what I mean? Like, and it doesn't. If you don't talk about it, if you don't do something about it, it doesn't get better. It will get
yeah,
worse. And so I'm happy to hear that she's in a good place now, but it's just something that like it's scary to know, there are so many people are in similar situations that feel like they're stuck.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that when you say, "Why don't you just leave?"
It's not easy.
It's not easy. And second of all, let's say they don't leave, then they feel like, okay, I've lost that friend because that friend has this opinion that I should leave, but I chose to stay, and now I can't,
Right.
I can't open up to this friend, and it's like I think it's important that like as a friend, I think it's
Yeah.
just you just be compassionate, right? Like you listen,
Yeah.
and if they ask for an advice, like one of my friends, we kind of work on projects together and stuff, and she would ask me for advice on like her business and stuff, and I would ask her, I'm like, do you want the friend advice or do you want like the
Yeah.
professional advice? And then I always back that up with like, whatever you do or choose, I still love you, I will be here, and I will support you.
Yeah.
So and I think that's the thing that we were never taught to communicate, right? I think you
Yeah.
and I had to learn that the hard way, and we had to learn it through therapy, through reading books, through listening to podcasts and stuff, because what we think is right is not always right for that other person, even though we're doing it with good intentions, right? Like,
Yeah.
people go through their own journey, and some people do stay in a bad relationship for longer, and that's their journey. It's not that it's right or wrong. It's just their journey. And
Right.
maybe it wasn't
I
right
had a
for
Yeah,
them,
and I had a friend who, she gave me her opinion from the very beginning that she didn't like my ex, and for fair reasons, and like, but she kept her opinions to herself throughout the whole time that I was with him, right? And like
Mhm.
towards the end when I did decide to break it off, it was my decision to do so. It wasn't like I feel like I gave it what I could, but in the end it was just too toxic that I just needed to leave.
Yeah.
And then she gave me her opinions then.
Yeah.
So like that's like a good friend, because like you let the friend know like, well, this is my opinion, you take it, but if you decide otherwise, like, I'm still gonna be your friend. I'm still gonna go through and support you in your decision. Then I had another friend that I'm kind of not really talking to anymore. But like,
It
but it's not,
happens.
like, if she ever texts or whatever, like, I'm open to talking and stuff like that. But I just decided that, what, like, if all we're talking about is you talking about like your relationship and this and that, and me always having to walk you off your bridge, like, if that's always continuously the conversation, and then to the point where I'm still here trying to support you, and then you go off and say something about my relationship, then that's where I'm like, okay, you know what? Step back. It's not worth it. Like, I don't need a friend who is not fully supportive. You know what I mean? Especially when I'm
Yeah.
trying to be supportive for them as well,
Yeah. And I think like support comes in different forms, right? Like you can say, I love you, I will be there for you. I'm not in the
Yeah.
same line of like thought process as you are. And it's your, it's your choices and stuff. And maybe I might not make the same choices as you are, but I
Right.
still love you. I still care for you. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure that you protect yourself. And that's where I'm coming
Yeah.
from. That's it. Like, just leave it at that instead of like,
But you have
I
to
don't think.
trust that person too, to be a big girl and know how to handle themselves, in situations. And like, I mean, and if I never learn, then like, I'm always gonna learn the hard way, which like I guess that's just going to be my life. But for now,
Yeah.
I'm not going to try to I'm not going to try to not risk, knowing someone just because they don't fit the proper requirement of a partner,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
like in a textbook situation. But dude, we're in an age, at least for me, where people are gonna go through like multiple divorces, have kids. The dynamic is so different when it comes to dating that like you cannot be as picky like as you were, 20, 30s, right? Like you need to take on the situation and kind of assess it
Well, I
wisely.
mean, like I said earlier, we're not monogamous anymore. We're monogamish, right? Like,
Right, right.
you can have this partner for 10, 15 years, and then 10, 15 years, they completely change into different people. Papa Bear and I are not the same people that we were when we met 6 years
No,
ago. And it's only been
right.
6 years, and that's like we went through career changes, we went through a toddler, so and now we're in the pandemic phase. So it's just like people
Yeah.
change and that's okay. And I think another thing that we have a problem with is that making your partner your everything. Like, they can be your
Yeah.
80%, but your 20%
Yeah.
needs to be your friends, your career, maybe 5%
Right.
for your kid, your community, and then your
And
hobbies, which
yeah,
unfortunately
and
is
like
my 20%. So I
and
have
like,
no room for
even
friends.
well, for me, like I'm always out. I just have this like desire that I want to just go out now that I'm fully vaccinated. I feel like a butterfly, ready to emerge and socialize. But yeah, like I'm looking for like friends who, right now they like in my realm, a lot of the friends have kids, they're married, and it's like it's hard to just have a good friend to hang out and stuff like that. So that's where I am, and I even told I met the last friend through Bumble BFF, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Bumble has like three different sites. They have the one for regular dating, one for BFF, and then one for networking. And then I joined again to see if I could find someone, a friend like that I could just like have similar interests and hang out and stuff like that. So I told Tony, and he was just like, "What? You got tired of me?" And then I was like, "Well, no, but it would be nice to have other interests besides, like." I don't want to just stay at home all the time, or I don't want to just like hang out with just like one person. Like I would
Yeah.
like to have a group of like it's just a small group, but I would like to have a group of like close friends that I could just hang out, call up whenever because he has his style, like he has his kids and he's busy with that and things like that. So I would definitely want to have another. I don't want to say interest. You know what I mean? Like expand
Yeah.
my social network. Like
Well, I mean, you need your 20%, and it doesn't need to be from him,
yes,
right?
right,
So, like,
totally.
okay, you want to know what's funny?
What?
Okay, so now that we're all vaccinated, I was telling my
Yeah.
partner, I was just like, okay, so now that we're back, because you're more extroverted than I am. I'm definitely
Yeah.
an introvert, and I was telling my partner, I was just like, yeah, she's gonna get vaccinated, and she's gonna be like hanging out on Fridays all the time. So this live stream thing is probably gonna end up being every other week. And I was
Oh
just
my
like,
God.
no. And I was just like, oh, thank God, because I'm starting to get tired of the consistency because I'm such an introvert. Even like internet stuff, like tires me out. And then like last week she texted me, she's like, let's start live streaming on Mondays too. And I'm like, oh God.
Oh my
Like
God. You
my
were waiting for me
introvert
to get
just
tired.
yeah,
You were waiting
my
for me
introvert
to get
is
tired.
it was like shrinking up. I'm like,
Wow.
I know.
The truth comes out.
I
And
know.
it is brutal, dude. Like what the
I know. I was just like, oh yeah, now we're gonna do every other week instead of every week. I'm gonna have Friday to like be my introverted self, and then
I
you're like,
mean,
hey,
it's up to you,
let's do
bro. Like
it.
we can. It's up to you. We can
Nah,
readjust
nah,
the
I'm
schedule
kidding.
accordingly.
Nah,
Like I am in it for the long haul. And I mean, we're flexible. Like that's why this
yeah,
channel works. Is because we're flexible and like yes, I am going to expand my social calendar, like my network out there. But like I'm still going to, like next weekend I'm doing something that I will probably leave around later in the afternoon. But our live stream is like in the morning, so it's like we can
yeah,
get this done and then I can do my thing. So it's like And then if we have to reschedule, we're gonna do it like a day earlier or like after or just miss it. Like we can do that. And we're not
Well,
like
I mean,
bound by the schedule that we set for ourselves.
well, I do have you as like a hard block. Like I share my calendar with all the people in my life, and I'm just like, this is a hard block. You need to plan around this and put it in the calendar.
Yeah.
You cannot assume that I'm not gonna like be free on 10 a.m. on Friday because it's a hard block here. So figure it out, folks. Right? So like I take this very seriously, but like,
yeah,
but I was
so
just like,
funny.
I was like, yeah. Well, that was my initial reaction. Which was like,
what did Josh say after I said, "Oh, now we can do Monday"?
Oh, no, I haven't told him yet. Actually, I need to tell him.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes I forget like if I'm talking to you or like to him or like to myself. But so it was just like. That was like my initial reaction. Okay, that's my introverted self, just
funny.
like my introvert self going, "Oh no, your Monday time to like be a hermit is gonna now be bogarted by Mel," But that's just like that initial reaction. But then like I have my ambivert side too, where it's just like, "No, this is good for you. You need to like socialize and not end up being a serial killer after a while." So like that conversation had to happen, but that was the initial reaction. I was just like, I thought she's vaccinated. She's not gonna need me anymore.
Well, hey, no, it's more. This is what we're doing together, okay, KL. This is not like this is what we committed to it. But what I'm saying is for our Monday thing is that like we can totally do it every other week if that's necessary. If it's like too much, so definitely it's on our time, right?
Yeah.
And it won't be live stream. So we're gonna announce that next Friday.
Yeah, and we're gonna have some guests. I think Ashley is gonna be a part of it. Miss Hello Sparkles is someone that I thought of, and then Katrina is gonna be someone else that I was thinking of since you guys are always around. Angela, of course, but yeah, I was just like, Mel's gonna be vaccinated. She's not gonna need me. Life is gonna be awesome again. And 2020 was rough for me because like everyone who was like in my life that's an extrovert was like. Zoom, Facebook, FaceTime, and I'm just like, yo, you want me to go back into the real world and leave me alone? I love you. I care about you. That is so funny.
You're hilarious.
Yeah, but I was like, I need to talk to somebody before I become a serial killer. So there's that too. So.
You don't have the McDonald's triad. Factor.
No, but I think it would probably be accidental now that I'm like foraging for leaves and like making tea out of it. So who knows if I end up murdering someone on accident.
Don't. You better be careful. Yeah, like when she didn't text me on Saturday and on Wednesday, I think I said that. At which point should I send out a search party for you? You're like, well, you should have sent it yesterday, so you're a bad friend. I was like, well, I was looking at your story, so if you didn't post for 48 hours, then I'll send out a search party. So yeah, I am a good friend.
You texted me on Saturday, and I didn't respond till like what, Tuesday?
Something like that, and then
that's how you know how introverted I am. When even texts sometimes give me anxiety. Like I would read them just like, yeah, I will respond. But I did respond to you. I did. I texted it out, and then what happened was that like we were packing because we were packing up like all of our beach stuff, and my hand was sandy, and I tried to hit send, and I thought I did, and like then I put the phone away, and I just. And that's how you know I'm a real introvert because like on Saturdays and Sundays I don't like look at my phone at all, and so I just put it away. And then what was I doing on Monday? There's no excuse there. I just didn't look at my messages on Monday. So I was like,
you didn't even think like this is odd. Why did Melanie respond? Like I responded. Like that's so rude. She didn't even do any of that. Like I really went back.
Okay, and this is how you know Mel is an extrovert because like one time she looked at my phone and she's just like, doesn't all those red dots bother you? I'm like, what red dots? The ones where it says like 45 notifications, 65 notifications. I was just like, I've learned to ignore it.
Bothers me. No,
like,
it bothers me. For me, I have completely clear that like off I can't see those like red alerts and thankfully because of the new iOS, like several iOS back, you're able to customize your iPhone like desktop space. So I don't see those alerts, but then I also completely forget. Like if I don't check it, I completely forget about it. So I have to like put a little small folder so I can put it in and remind myself. But like Tony's phone, his mail was like 2,000, 3,000, 6,000 unread. And like, why? I can't understand that.
Yeah, you can check it for me. I'm like, that's how much of like an introvert I am. I'm like, I can't,
she
like,
doesn't care.
I've learned to like ignore it because it's just like, you know what? If it was really that important, they would call me. And then they would call me and I would go ignore it too. That's what happened to Martha. She would like call me and like I would ignore it and then she would leave a voicemail. And then like I would ignore that and then she would text me. She's just like, hey, I left you a voicemail. And then I told her, I was like, how about you just send me voice notes from now on? I don't check my voicemails.
You are so bad. Okay, I'm like now hearing all that. I'm really so surprised that you have been this consistent with this channel because the fact that she's usually on top of it and like looking for like new things to talk about and like all the stuff and very A type too, so she has like an Excel sheet for everything and all the links, which is great, like because it's very prepared. But like you wouldn't think that if you like listen to her, she's like, no, I don't want to do people.
Well, that's it. It's a people thing for me, right? Like it's like I love the flow charts and the Excel spreadsheets and the PowerPoint.
She does.
I love all that, right? Like I can do all that, and then you tell me to come up here and talk for like an hour, and I'm just like, I was like, Mel, can you take over this? And Mel was like, oh, I didn't read the story. Can you leave this? I'm like, what? The whole point of you being on this is for you to leave the story, so I don't have to talk.
Oh my gosh, woman, we need to break you out of your shell a little bit more.
It's just I like my alone time. I'm a intro thought processor. That's all. That's all.
That's fine. I mean, I don't
like people.
And that's fine. Like I feel like just because I'm an extrovert, I have introvert tendencies too. So for some reason, I always lean towards like people who have more introvertedness because Tony is very much an introvert. If I was really wanting to be with a partner or even friends that are like mostly extroverts, I think that would turn me out too, But I do know that I would feel lonely in a sense if I don't connect with someone. Like that's definitely the extrovert part of me, But like Kayla and I before this channel, we didn't even talk to each other for like almost a year, maybe. So like,
I blame it on Mel. She was out there doing hot girl stuff.
But the thing is the type of friendship that you actually want to have, because you could go like a year, several years without talking to this person, but like literally the time that you pick up the phone and you like talk, you can talk for hours and feel as if you just picked up from where you last left off. And that's crazy. Like that's the type of friendship that I actually do like enjoy having, because life gets busy, and you shouldn't blame the other person or each other for not keeping in touch. Like you should be able to live your life, and then when you're ready, have some time, then get together and you like catch up,
Yeah. Well, the only reason why I'm like sticking to this channel long enough is we need to recoup our costs from that.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah. Once we hit that, I'm like, deuces. I'm so
bye, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh God.
And it's like my excuse to have Mel like have to block me out because she's such an extrovert that like she won't connect with me. Let's see. Now I know why you leave it on red. I'm like I have to clear the notification, but I don't want to respond. Oh, that's so funny because Ashley sometimes she would DM me and I would like leave it on red and it takes me forever to respond to her. Katrina,
you now know the inner workings of Elle.
No, I feel bad for Katrina because one time I ghosted her for like a whole month.
Oh my God, KL.
And she felt so bad because she thought I was dying, and I got so sick.
No,
and then,
seriously. Yeah, if I don't hear from KL after I text, I'll be like, dude, are you alive? And then she'll say something.
It's such a shitty thing. And like, I'm trying to get better at it. I think 2020 has like taught me to be better about that kind of stuff because I used to be so bad at it. But Katrina, I ghosted her for like a month because I was going through my anxiety, and then I was really sick, and all the med I was on was like so bad, and I didn't want to tell her that I was dealing with that. But then like one day she received a gift box from me, and she's like, "What the hell? Like, you don't talk to me, and all of a sudden I receive a gift box from you." And then she like texted me, she's like, "I thought you were dead." And I was like, "I'm so sorry, this thing that was going on in my life, and I didn't like know how to express it." So yeah. She said it was more than a month. Was it more than a month? Okay, to me it felt like more than it was just a month. But wait, oh no, it was November.
No,
a
year to you is probably a month. Okay.
Yeah, that's a problem because I have time blindness. Yeah. So okay. Ashley says, yes, I have that with my friends. We have friends since high school, and she was one off having time of her life working for Disney Cruise Line. And every time she would come home, we would catch up like it's been no time at all. See, that's the kind of friends you need in life.
That's the best.
Okay, so it is 11:24. I have to cut this short because I promised Papa we are going to go for a lunch. I don't remember if you remember the Acme restaurant, the Oyster House over in Louisiana, over in New Orleans. They opened one here in Houston, so that's where we're going for lunch. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Guess there's a good trip down to Houston.
Yeah. So they opened one here, so we're gonna go check it out today for lunch. So.
Oh, cool.
No, Katrina called me out because I think she texted me like last week and I never responded. Okay, I'm gonna go before she calls me out again.
So next Friday we are going to have a mukbang, like that's our monthly mukbang session, and we're going to talk about true crime. Should we tell them what we're going to talk about so they could look it up and things like that? I think we decided. No,
the clown killer John Wayne Gacy.
Yes.
Are we going with that one? Okay, Mr. John Wayne Gacy. That's who we're talking about next week for our murder and mukbang next Friday. If you want,
Friday.
we're probably gonna do waffles and chicken, or fried chicken and waffles.
Chicken. I'm having my chicken nuggets.
Yeah, impossible sausage sandwich again, probably.
Yeah, right.
So that's what we're doing next week. So we'll see you guys next Friday at 10 a.m. All that good stuff. Have a good weekend. Seize the moment.
Be kind, all. Be kind, and make good choices.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye.